the Soilwork show in Jacksonville, and I'm here with the drummer, Dirk. So thank you so much for doing this. I appreciate it, as always.
Oh, you're welcome. Happy to be here.
Yeah, well, I got to say, that this tour, I mean, was it 54 shows, only 3 days off.
Yeah.
I mean, that's brutal. So, I mean, how are you guys holding up? I mean, this is the last stretch of it, so.
We're doing pretty good so far. I mean, you know, every once in a while, one of us will have like 1 or 2 days where they're kind of out of it. Because it's just, you know, staying focused for that long is hard. And, you know, yeah, like you said, we actually had 2 days off. So not even 3. So, you know, there's not much time to catch a break. But, you know, it's been going well. And we've had a lot of great shows, really good reactions from the crowd and to the new album. So, you know, that's been our main driving force to keep us going and keep kicking ass every night.
Oh, that's good. What has been the most memorable moment of this tour for you guys?
Oh man, that's hard to pick one, but personally I really enjoyed playing Ottawa in Canada because we had never been there before, and that was like a really intense show. And you know, I mean, yeah, there's been so many great moments, but I would say, you know, it's just in general been a good tour also on a human level with all the other bands and all the people on the tour with us, and having Jeff. And you know, Jeff's had a lot of bad luck on this tour, unfortunately,
right,
between getting his gear stolen and his dad passing away a few days ago, and that's why he's not here tonight, because he's attending his father's funeral. So, you know, our thoughts are with him, but you know, it's been a bonding experience as well, you know, on that level. So yeah.
That's good. It always helps too when all the bands get along and mesh well together too.
Yeah, it's not always the case that everybody kind of is on the same page, but on this tour it's really been pretty easy. So, you know, we're thankful for that.
Congratulations on the success of the 9th album.
Thank you.
You know, being a double album and, you know, 20 songs. I mean, usually people have some songs that don't make it on the album. How many did not make it on the final cut?
So we had about 27, I think, was the number that we had when we went to the studio, and then one of those we decided to cut just about when we headed over there, because we felt it was kind of not up to par with the rest of the stuff. So we had 26 that I recorded drums for. Another one got cut, like pretty much we decided not to finish it after I did the drums. So, but 25 were finished. Wow. So we have 5 finished leftover tracks.
Wow.
Yeah.
Any thoughts of carrying those over into the next album, or kind of wait and see?
Yeah, we're still kind of figuring out what's gonna happen with them at this point. They're actually being mixed as we're speaking now, so you know, so we'll see. There's some different possibilities there.
Very cool. Nice. It's not all in vain. It wasn't in vain.
No.
And this time too, I heard that all the band members contributed more than ever to the writing and the recording of the album. I mean, is that pretty accurate?
Absolutely. To give you an idea, you know, on the previous records, I mean, it's always been a band effort in the sense that, you know, Soilwork has always been a very like democratic band and open to each musician's input. But on this album, I think what was the biggest difference is that, you know, Speed and David wrote a majority of the material, and then Sylvain contributed some, Sven contributed some, and I wrote a song. And but especially on Speed and David's material, what was different is that it was very open. Like the demos were very raw, and for example, you know, drum wise, there was very little detail in the drums. It was basic drum programming, like basic beats. Some stuff was detailed, like on certain songs, but a lot of the songs were open to interpretation. And the guys told me, like, here's the rough demos, just have fun with them, play around with them. So some stuff I completely redid, like the beats. You know, some songs I changed the tempos, cut some riffs, added other riffs in, you know, did arrangements, and that was the first time that I really had that kind of input on a you know, big number of tracks. So in the past, you know, it was more stuff was more written and detailed, and I could still have my personal input, but it was not nearly as much as now. And I think it kind of went the same way with everything, you know, with Flink's input, Sven's input has been, you know, pretty much all over the place, and so we really had, you know, a band working on the music.
Nice.
Yeah.
Well, with that being said too, what was the biggest challenge with this album?
Probably the amount of material, you know.
Right.
Because even though we started writing a number of months before going to the studio, it was still, you know, it wasn't easy to work on everything together. So there's a number of songs that we managed to rehearse together, and kind of, you know, that's a good way to kind of work on little details where people can be like, play the song, and you're like, oh, how about this part? How about we try that instead? Or how about we play that riff only twice instead of 4 times, and things like that. So we did that, but only on a number of songs because we had so many that there was just no time to do it with everything. So, you know, going into the studio was kind of, you know, a new thing for us to have that much stuff to work with, and so it was really intense. We had to work really hard, and you know, like I did all my drum tracks in basically 8 days. I had 9 days, but you know, part of that was setting up and getting the tones and stuff. So the actual recording was about 8 days. So I did 3-4 songs per day, nonstop, just like go for it, you know. So yeah, there was no time to have a bad day.
No, you're like, I've got to be on again. That's,
Yep. So, but it was fun. It was fun. We had a good time doing that.
Well, that's great. Well, and it shows. It comes out in the albums.
Awesome.
So yes,
Awesome.
But yeah. It's definitely twice the amount of work and twice the amount of songs. And,
it was, you know, and but yeah, like I said, you know, it was good to have a challenge for us and to have something a little bit different because we've been around for a long time. Like you said, it's our 9th album. We've done 8 albums that were kind of, you know, the typical album length, and so to have something completely like different as far as the scope goes was just a fun challenge for us. As something to keep us interested and you know, focused.
And then I saw the Spectrum of Eternity video on, I think it was Metal Hammer,
Yes.
yesterday, and
Just came out.
Yes, it was very cool, and a lot of people on Facebook were saying that it kind of reminded them of BioShock, I guess, and you know, it has that dark industrial kind of, you know, feel.
Exactly.
But who came up with the concept of that video?
Well, we actually contacted the guys who did the video for Deliverance Is Mine on the Panic broadcast, and because they had done a follow-up to the Light the Torch video, which was also CGI animated, and so we gave them the lyrics and kind of the vibe of the album and that song in particular, and so they came up with the concept. They had some pictures of this old weird ship, which became like kind of the main focal point in that, and so then they created the characters around it and the whole story of kind of, you know, reaching an end point that's kind of unexpected, exploring new territory. So, you know, we kind of just let them do what they do best, you know, and we like the results. So, but you know, the theme of always, like, you know, how humans always discover new things. Even now, there's still a lot of things that are unknown out there, and that we just can't fathom yet. You know, if you think of, like, for me, like, it's kind of a big thing to think of just space and how small we are in the universe. When you think of that and how much there still is that we don't know, you know, it kind of puts you in your place. You know?
You're right.
I like that part of it.
Well, and like I said, the fact that, you know, there was no telling. It wasn't clear what was going to happen when he reached the end. So
good.
That was well done. Yeah,
nice,
good
awesome,
job.
thank you.
You're welcome. Now, I saw something about the fact that you were doing drum lessons, like one each show, I guess, whenever there was, you know, somebody signed up. Did you have any today, or when was the last one?
No, none today. I had one yesterday, actually, and it's been really fun doing that because I get to meet, you know, fans who are also drummers, and you know, just it's always kind of a sharing experience, you know, even though it's a lesson, whatever.
Right.
I learn a lot from seeing other people's approaches too, and we kind of, you know, there's a lot of, you know, it's been more than drumming. It's actually been talking about the industry a lot and how to make it as a musician, because that's something that I remember when, you know, before I was in Soilwork and when I was kind of, you know, an underground musician struggling, that was something that I always wanted to find out too from the bands that I liked, and so there's been a lot of talks about what to do to kind of get to that point where you can maybe make a living off of it and tour and all that stuff. So it's been interesting.
Yeah, well, I guess too, since you've seen, you know, people from all walks of life and young, I'm sure they range from young to old and everything in between, and different levels of drumming too. Have you seen kind of a common, or, you know, a bad habit, so to speak? And I wouldn't, you know, I almost said something like a mistake or something wrong, but I'm like, no, it's probably a bad habit. You know, any bad habit that kind of keeps popping up that it's like, oh, you know, and you try to fix or try to, you know, steer that drummers make.
It's different for everybody, I guess. You know, there's not been one like common thing, but the one common thing that does keep popping up is people want to have like better speed. You know, so I guess since I've built that, it's like my first beat I ever played was a blast beat, so I've always been into like fast drumming. You know, that's part of what I like. So so people come to me with that a lot, like how do you develop like a faster left hand, because most right-handed people have a slower left hand, and that kind of stuff. So yeah, that comes back quite a lot. Faster feet, etc.
Yeah,
So
yeah. So trying to get the control too. I mean, because it's like it's one thing to be fast, but fast with control.
Exactly. I mean, that's really, you nailed that. That's what it comes down to is technique. Because playing fast, if you got the right technique, the speed is practically limitless. So it's all about developing the right movements and then just working on them.
You've been keeping very busy with interviews, like various interviews with different drum magazines.
Yes.
And I guess one of them was talking about like a home studio
Yeah.
that you have.
Yes.
How long have you had the home studio?
It's been probably a couple of years now that I've really officially had it set up, and it's kind of a unique studio in the sense that it's electronic. So I have an electronic drum kit at home, and I work with a Swedish company called TuneTrack that makes really awesome drum samples and drum sample software. So basically I use the electronic kit, and then I use their software and sounds, which are very professionally tracked drum sounds. So they go to like some of the best studios in the world, use the best equipment, the best sound engineers, and record a bunch of samples from different kinds of drum kits. So it exists in different styles of music and stuff, and it's a really, high level stuff. So when you use it, like I've done a bunch of recordings with it now over the past few years for different bands and artists, and it becomes increasingly hard to tell even for drummers that it's electronic drums. That's how good it is.
Wow, that is
so
good.
and it allows me, the good thing is, through my home studio, it allows me to work with smaller bands and maybe people that don't have huge budgets, because it takes a lot of money to fly somebody to a studio and get an acoustic kit, all that stuff. It becomes very, very expensive quickly. So I can do that with people like Devin and Jeff Loomis and some of the bigger bands I've worked with. But this allows me to work with smaller but very talented bands across the planet. I mean, I've worked with people recently in Japan, France, Ukraine, you name it. Like, it's really all over the place, and they just reach out to me, send me their songs. I record drums, send them back to them, and then they can mix the whatever recording it is. So it's fun, I get to play with a lot of really talented kids and motivated people, and it's really awesome. It's really a revolution in that sense, between the revolution that TuneTrack kind of created with those drum samples, and then the revolution that the internet creates, where you can basically be in a band with people you've never met.
Right.
It's awesome, I mean, it's even Soilwork in a way is that way too, because we live pretty much all in different places. None of us lives close to another person in the band.
I didn't even realize that.
Yeah.
Wow.
So it got stuff falling on me. It's nature.
Yes.
It works out that way. So it's really awesome nowadays, and I encourage people to really kind of look into things like that, because nowadays they're also making a lot of progress with the virtual recording studios, where you can actually track with somebody who's somewhere else, and play it live. Like a guitarist can be in one city and a drummer in another, or another country. If your internet connection is good enough, you can actually play together. Wow. So it's pretty awesome. Just like BandHappy is a site that I give drum lessons on too, which allows you to give drum lessons to people, kind of like, anywhere in the world, as long as the internet connection is good. So all that stuff is really, creating a lot more community and a lot more, kind of people talking, and I really enjoyed that part, the sharing part. It started out being an online site, I think Matt from Periphery, Matt Halpern, the drummer, he's the guy who created that, and when he started that out, his whole idea was to allow musicians to give lessons, whether they're on tour or at home. So, the home part is really awesome, because you can just have a profile up there and people will contact you and like, hey, can I take a lesson? And then you just figure out a time, and it doesn't matter where they are, So it's a really well done site, and the system works really well. So it's fun, it's all that stuff is just, in the past 5-6 years, all that stuff has really bloomed and exploded. It's awesome.
Your wife Hannah is a photographer.
Yes.
And she's done a lot of great photos and stuff. A lot of the promo photos look awesome.
Thank you.
What's it like working with your wife, in this capacity?
It's great, because she's not only a photographer, but she's also spent a lot of time working in the music business as well. So I've actually managed to, we learn a lot from each other. I learn a lot from her experience being kind of on the other side, where she worked in a label, and so I kind of gained some insight that I can use, like, for my own career and for the band. And she's really encouraged me also to kind of be out there as a drummer, have a website, have a Facebook page, kind of advertise. So and it really, I hadn't done that at all really before I met her, so it really allowed me to have kind of a day job now where I record drums for people. So I'm really grateful that she kind of pushed me in that direction. And you know, she's a super talented photographer, and I often play stand-in model when she needs somebody to do something. So you know, it kind of taught me to be a semi-model, I guess, as well. And yeah, but you know, she's doing great. She's shooting for LA Weekly now, and you know, so yeah, I think her career is gonna take off shortly for sure.
Yeah, because is photography now her main focus? Is that
yeah,
what she's
absolutely. Doing? Yeah. She shot for the last 2 Soilwork records, but she's been shooting a lot of bands. She actually did some shots of Hatchet, who are opening for us on this tour, and so you know, and she's busy constantly. So I'm pretty happy about that, you know, and she's stoked to be doing that. So.
Oh, that's awesome. And then how long have you guys been together, I guess?
Well, we've been married for 6.5 years now, so yeah, it's been a while.
Congratulations, that's
you.
great.
Yeah.
What band or musicians would people be surprised to see in your music collection?
Probably quite a bit, because I'm obviously a metalhead, but I listen to a lot of different things, and let's see. I liked Lady Gaga's first 2 records a lot, so that's one. Probably not your most metal thing. I don't know, I just thought they had a cool old like 80s pop vibe. I grew up listening to a lot of pop music, like Prince and Michael Jackson, and all those things were like big to me. Duran Duran, you know, like all the stuff that was on the radio at the time, I was big into, and so you know, that's kind of my background. And hip hop too, like a lot of old school hip hop, Beastie Boys, Public Enemy, Run DMC, LL Cool J, you know, all that stuff, and WA, like.
Nice.
You know, yeah, all the like the older stuff. You know, I'm not really that up to date, unfortunately, with the newer hip hop scenes. But I still like all old stuff, and
I think it holds up, though. I think that's the reason too. I mean, the old stuff does hold up well.
It does.
I mean, Beastie Boys, it holds up so well.
Oh yeah, Paul's Boutique, Check Your Head. I'd listen to that stuff on the bus like religiously, pretty much. You know, but that's the thing too with those records, is that like those old Public Enemy and Beastie Boys records, it can be redone. You know, they did that just before all the sampling laws came out. So those records have a density to them, and like a musical, you know, richness that can never be replicated in the same way, because nowadays if you did a record like that, it would cost you like $10 million just to pay for the sample. So that's like a period in hip hop that's just kind of magical just for that reason, you know.
That's true.
I listen to a lot of experimental electronic music as well. Like I really like a British duo called Autech, who make like kind of weird electronic music. Square Pusher, Aphex Twin, Black Lung from Australia, you know, all that stuff that's kind of like odd atmospheres with electronic sounds and interesting beats. I'm really into that stuff. Right,
because you're probably thinking, oh, you know, gives you ideas for possibilities where you can go with your own drum stuff.
Exactly, yeah. I listen to that stuff, you know, really frequently, and I think it definitely inspires me to kind of, you know, change my beats. I try to always keep things interesting on drums and kind of bring new things as much as possible.
What are your plans after the tour wraps up?
Sleep for a week.
Good idea. Yeah, you guys need it. It's well deserved.
Yeah, because it's not always easy sleeping on the old tour bus. But yeah, you know, just rest a little bit, and then we're gonna head out to Europe at the end of May. I think we have our first festival in Poland, and then we're going to be playing some festivals throughout the summer, different places, Germany, Sweden, you know, there's a bunch. And then after that, we're actually playing our first ever show in Mexico on September 7th. So
you've never been to Mexico?
Never been to Mexico or South America at all, actually.
What?
So yeah,
wow, I'm surprised. Yeah, because I thought you guys had been already.
No, for some reason we just haven't. It never worked out. So, but we're really looking forward to that. The day before that, we're playing Prague Power in Atlanta on September 6th. So that'll be a great American show. We're really looking forward to that one as well. And then after that, we're headed to Australia in October. And some other stuff to be announced after that. So yeah.
And then I think I saw something about the metal cruise or something in January.
Exactly, 70,000 tons.
Yeah, have you done it before?
We did the Barge to Hell last time that was around, or which was actually the first time ever. I think, I'm not sure, but that was that in December? Oh no, November, October. I can't remember. Anyway, not long ago. Yeah, we did that. So and it's a similar, you know, it's the same routing than the 70,000 tons. But yeah, so that was fun actually, because they had Barge to Hell is like the extreme version, so it had a lot of my favorite bands like Napalm Death and Loud Blast from France, and you know that I grew up like listening to and touring with and stuff. So yeah, it was really fun. But 70,000 tons, yeah, that's in January coming up, and that should be a lot of fun. I think Death Angels on the bill, Dark Tranquility, there's already a few cool bands announced, so
That's good.
it's gonna be fun.
Yeah, that'll be good. Well, last but not least, what message do you have for the Soilwork fans?
Okay, so I'm gonna take that to the Living Infinite concept and what it means to me. As you may or may not know, the album's kind of all about the ocean and you know, everything attached to that in different ways, you know. And of course, Speed wrote the lyrics to the record, which is that's usually his domain, and he has his own interpretation with that. To me personally, I'm very concerned with the state of our planet, and that includes the oceans, and the oceans are really not being treated very well by humans, you know. I mean, everybody knows about like the BP disaster, but on a smaller level there's a lot of little things that happen, you know, from pollution to overfishing. There's a lot of places where, you know, I don't think a lot of people know this, but you know, there's a lot of places where there's really no law in the water, you know. So basically just people go in there with boats, throw these huge nets out that are like miles long, just rake the ocean floor, grab everything, take out what they need, the rest they just throw it back in. It all dies, you know, from turtles to, you know, the most inoffensive, the dolphins, the most inoffensive creatures, or that are completely like not, you know, for food or anything. They just kill everything just because it's a big operation and it's money driven. A lot of stuff goes to like shark fin soup in Asia and stuff, which is like, you know, in my point of view, a completely pointless thing because it doesn't really do anything if you look at it scientifically. Supposedly it has medical purposes, but that's all a bunch of bull. So, you know, sharks are practically extinct, some of them now, because they've been so fished in the last 10 years massively that, you know, they're dying out. And they're wonderful creatures. I mean, they're like, you know, they're like the predator that's the most developed in the planet, and it's really important also for the ecosystem, for the balance of the sea, to have that, because if the shark goes away, you know, there's going to be a lot of other species that are going to take over and proliferate, which are not kind of being kept in check by sharks.
Right.
And it's going to, you know, the whole ecosystem is going to become a big mess. So you'll have like, you know, massive crabs and stuff that are already proliferating in certain parts of the planet, you know, take over, and this is going to become a real nuisance. So, you know, basically what I want to say is that I hope that some of the people that are into Soilwork and that want to dig a little bit deeper into the Living Infinite and the concept will check out, you know, look up some stuff online, look at movies like Shark Water, you know, Earthlings. You know, there's so many things out there that deserve your attention, and maybe you can donate a little bit of money or do something, you know, just the smallest step, even if you can donate $10 to an organization like Sea Shepherd, who's out there trying to keep, you know, things the way they should be, you know, it would be awesome. Or just think about when you're throwing away your plastic bottles or whatever to recycle and you know, all that stuff. It's to me personally, that stuff is like super important, and if I'm ever too old to play blast beats, I'm definitely going to dedicate my life to that stuff, you know. That's something I've already decided. So
Very good. That's good. It makes sense.
yeah,
That
you
makes
know,
sense.
I mean, it's our planet and we only have one, and there's so many beautiful creatures out there, and every time there's animal cruelty, I just don't understand it, because, you know, it's just, why, you know, it's just senseless, you know. It's only humans are capable of just pointlessly killing creatures, and it's something I don't understand. So yeah.
Thank you so much again for doing this. I really appreciate it. I'll get a hug. if you don't mind.
Absolutely, yes.
Thank you so much. Definitely.
Awesome.
And we'll see you guys in there.